First question. Dear Longpo, in the last few years, I have occasionally had vivid, clear dreams. They have a clear message that is verbal, when usually my dreams are random and non-verbal. These dreams wake me up. I'm not sure what is going on. Please, can you explain about this?
Well, I'm not fully sure either, because I'm not you. I'm not sure what they're saying, these verbal dreams. Like, I've had a few verbal dreams over the years. I've had monks telling me very good things. I've had monks scolding me. I've had different kind of Dhamma voices that seem to be reflections of Dhamma in one way or another. Sometimes as a sound, like you say, verbal. Sometimes some visual images as well. If you are meditating, practicing mindfulness, or any aspect of the Dhamma practice can lead on to having some clear dreams sometimes. Offering dana, keeping precepts also can be a cause for these dreams. It depends what the content is. What are they saying in this dream? If you're hearing a sound, usually it's your own mind producing this, your own good karma, producing some insight into something. And it can be kind of warning you or telling you where you're going wrong in some way. It can be helping you, reminding you to do something good, or telling you of something good, like good news. There's a whole variety of things, so I don't know exactly what the content of your verbal dreams are. What I would recommend to do, if you wake up and there seems to be a dream, a clear dream, either sound or visual or both, just pause as soon as you wake up and gain consciousness, mindfulness comes up, and just pause and think, what was that? What did that mean? Did it have any meaning? Like you say, a lot of dreams are just random. The Buddha said some of our dreams just come from eating too much rich food, too much red meat, too much dairy, too much ice cream, whatever it is. But some dreams can be meaningful. And so you pause and you take it in. What did that dream, what happened, what was it? And it may be telling you something about yourself, your life, what's going on, maybe some aspect of Dhamma. And as I said, sometimes it can be a criticism where you're going wrong in your thinking or your actions. Sometimes it can be a warning. Sometimes it can be something positive and very pleasing and happy. It just depends on the context of the situation. But also there's a deeper reflection where it's just a dream, and dreams are just sounds, images. They arise, they pass away. They're what we call sankhara. They're impermanent. So don't get too obsessed with them or caught up in them. Don't attach to them too much, because they're impermanent, like thoughts. They arise, they pass away. If they can give you some understanding, good. If they can't, never mind, let it go. And don't dwell on it and don't get stuck on it. That would be my suggestion.
So, Longpo. The next question. Dear Ajahn, good evening. I have one question for you. In the verses of sharing and aspiration, there is mention of sharing to the sun and the moon. Does that mean that the sun and the moon are sentient beings also? Why not share to the earth as well then?
I think this is actually referring to the deities, devas, that are connected to the sun and the moon, rather than the lump of gas or the lump of earth, the physical thing. It's more the recognition that there may be a deva or devas associated with the moon and devas associated with the sun. And because the sun and the moon are so vital to the Earth's existence, the ecosystem, obviously the sun, we can't survive without the sun. If there is a deva connected to the sun and in any way is helping, then that's good. So recognition of them, sharing merit with them. Just as the earth itself, you say, why don't we share merit with the earth? Well, earth devas as well. It's another class of being. They can have a good effect on, nature and so on. So it's that side of the teachings that, a lot of people have no experience with and probably don't accept or don't believe in. Fair enough, because if you haven't got any experience, then why would you? However, there are a small number of people who have experienced beings in other realms, the different realms of existence, including heaven realms, Brahma realms. So I wouldn't be too strong in your dismissal, but if you don't believe in it, we'll just put it onto one side and wait and see as your practice progresses whether your views change. But there are devas around, and that would be my opinion, and even associated with the sun, the moon. So sharing merit with different classes of devas, different beings. There's a recognition of that and sharing merit with them.
So, look. The next question. Dear Ajahn, may I ask, how can I better make my aspirations whenever I do something wholesome in order to improve my progress towards liberation?
Well, number one, always be mindful of what you're doing. Pay attention, bring your mind to the present moment, and then also sampajanya, you have that clear comprehension. What am I doing now? You're trying to do something wholesome, that's good. You make that intention very clear to yourself, whether it's speaking, acting, or even just thinking, say in meditation. You may spread metta or share merit as a mental aspiration. But try to be fully mindful, fully aware of what you're doing, both aware of what you're doing and then why, and as you say, it's something towards liberation. So when you practice charity or generosity in any way, small or big, you try to be as mindful as you can of what you're doing. I am making this offering, I am helping this person, I'm giving this donation as a cause for nibbana, so as a cause to let go of some of my attachment, to support a good cause, particularly if you're supporting Sangha, those who are keeping precepts and practicing sincerely for Nibbana. That's a very good thing, a noble cause. But also for yourself, may this be a part of my practice for Nibbana, liberation, letting go of some of my attachment. Because if you keep doing that mindfully, even the practice of dana, practice mindfully, is a very wholesome act. Not only does it bring you joy, happiness, and other people happiness, but also brings you closer to the point where you're able to let go of more and more things from your mind. If you never practice it, maybe you'll miss out on that, and then you actually may find you have it's an obstacle to nibbana. Same with, say, precepts. If you decide to keep precepts, make that intention very clear to yourself. Be mindful, I'm keeping this precept. And you return to that over and over again. So you're tempted to swat the fly, but you remember, I've determined to keep the precept, I'm not going to kill, so I won't swat the fly. And sometimes it's the last moment, you want to swat the fly, you want to tell a lie, you want to do something against the precepts. It may only be the very last moment you pull yourself back from doing it, because out of habit you want to do that act or say those words, but you pull yourself back because you've been mindful in your taking on the precepts. You paid attention, you made that resolve, I'm going to keep the precept. That will pop up again in subsequent situations. So the more mindful we can be of our various wholesome acts, like you say, the more it will be a condition for those wholesome states to come up again and for your practice to progress. And the same with meditation. You're mindful of the breath once, or any other meditation object, or you're mindful of impermanence, you have an insight into impermanence once, that's the best cause and best condition for you to be mindful of impermanence again, or mindful of the breath again. And you get this cumulative effect by being mindful of the various wholesome acts you do. It gets easier and your mind becomes more accustomed and used to that, and you develop good habits. So keep going.
The next question. Dear Lord, my uncle and a good friend passed away this month within a week. It was very sad and hard for me, especially watching my uncle die in the hospital. I was very sad and cried a lot for days. I felt like even though I have been practicing Dhamma for a long time, I forgot all that when I was very sad. I knew the theory, but I couldn't apply it to get over the sadness at that time. Can you please offer some advice to help me see the difficult situations through Dhamma?
Well, you sound like you already know what you have to do, but you're also aware of the extent of the problem, meaning, yes, we understand the Dhamma intellectually first. We've heard the teachings, we've chanted, we've thought about them, which is good, but we haven't yet purified our heart, and so now you're seeing the real emotional attachment you have to close family and friends when they pass away. You have to start practicing with this, because as you get older, it's only going to happen more often. Unfortunately, as you get older, more people start dying. It's just the way of it. But try as best you can to be patient with your feelings and to keep your mind in a wholesome state as possible as you're dealing with these feelings. So keep bringing it back to the mindfulness and keep reflecting. Yeah, this is normal. We all have to die sooner or later for different reasons, but we all have to die. We all get older, we get sick, we die. This is the most normal thing for a human being to face. And we're all in the same boat. And that is really the crux of our practice and what we're developing the Dhamma understanding for. We always think everything else is important and the Dhamma is not that important, but now you're seeing that's not true, is it? Money and fashion and food and people and this and entertainment and that and travel and this and that, all the things we are thinking about and filling our minds with are not that important. In the end, probably the strongest attachments we have are to our family and friends, is it? And ultimately to ourselves, but because we attach to ourself, the idea of self, this body, this mind, therefore by extension we attach to our parents, uncles, aunties, friends. Now you're seeing that. You're seeing the pain of separation, the pain of loss. So keep reflecting on it. Yes, this is normal. This is the way things are. Nobody lasts forever. Everyone must die. And your attitudes will change. The more you reflect on this, the more your attitude's going to change, isn't it? You'll become more used to the fact that we won't be here forever, and that idea. You'll appreciate people more. You'll see what more you can give to them and to the world around you. You'll see the value of practicing mindfulness, because that will keep you more calm and help you to see the Dhamma better. Hopefully these situations you can turn into something good. Even though it's sad, suffering, you turn it into something good by reflecting on the Dhamma. And so many people have learned really good lessons, painful lessons, but very valuable lessons from the death of people close to them. because it brings it home. This is the nature of human life. We have birth, but then we also have aging, sickness and death. And hopefully it can be a stimulus to your practice. Make you practice more. May you want to practice more. May you see the practice of Dhamma and the study of Dhamma as something very important, because now you're seeing why we do it. You're seeing the suffering of life. So be patient with the feelings, but also see this is an opportunity to learn.
Sadhu, one more. The next question. In order to be a person, need to be rooted karma, which is conducive to better results towards Nibbana. How mindful we have to be when performing the act?
As mindful as you can. Mindfulness is a quality the Buddha said you can never have too much of. We always want to be mindful, doing good on the level of body, actions, speech, and in mind. Ideally, 24/7, be mindful. Every posture, every activity. That's what you're aiming for. Always need more mindfulness. It's not something you just pick up and then put down. It's something you're constantly cultivating, but if you do it a lot, it will get easier. The obstacles, you'll learn how to deal with the obstacles better, and that comes from wisdom. So mindfulness and wisdom are like two friends. It's very hard to develop wisdom without being mindful. It's hard to learn anything if you're not paying attention. Mindfulness brings your mind to pay attention, to know, to observe what's going on. And then wisdom is the reflective power of the mind, looking, learning, seeing what leads to suffering, what leads to what, understanding that, understanding this pain and suffering that comes from attachment, seeing the value of letting go, seeing the impermanent nature of things, and so on. Wisdom grows through the presence of mindfulness. So they work together. Every moment you're truly mindful is like a little bit of Nibbana, getting your mind a little bit closer to Nibbana. If you've been very stressed and you start to introduce mindfulness, maybe you've learned to meditate before, so you're very stressed, you're very upset, worried, angry, whatever, sad. Then you remember, before when I felt like this, I was meditating, it helped. So you go to the breath maybe, and you start to be a bit more mindful using the breath. It's not the only way to be mindful, but one way. You probably will start to feel better. Those thoughts of suffering and feelings, you'll start to cope with them better, and maybe even start letting them go, and you might return to a state of normality or peace in your mind for a while. Then you can see, this is like a little bit of Nibbana, when I see the suffering, but I can also let go of the cause of that suffering, the various cravings and attachments that are bothering me. If I can mindfully and with full comprehension, full understanding, let them go, it's like you experience a little bit of Nibbana then. And that may motivate you and inspire you to keep practicing.
Sadhu, Longpo. The next question. Dear Ajahn, when teachers say that we need to practice asubha to reduce our sensual desire, does this permanently reduce it, or does it just temporarily reduce it? And there's a second part to this question. How often should we do asubha in normal life and also during retreat time?
Well, the first part of the question, it does both. It reduces your lust and sensual desire temporarily, and then ultimately permanently. But one step at a time. Only anagamis have completely gone beyond sensual desire, and there are not a lot of anagamis around in the world. We just work on where we're at in our life with our character and our karma, but we're all sensual beings, otherwise we wouldn't have been born, and this world is feeding us the objects of sensual desire all the time, and probably more than ever because of digital technology, pictures, images, all the stuff in the world that's coming our way, advertising, entertainment. It's all over the place, isn't it? Like, your lust is constantly being stimulated, whether you realize or not, and half the time it's unconscious. And lust manifests in so many ways. It's not just sexual desire, it's also like, lust for power, for wealth, for displays of manliness or femininity, or all in so many different ways it's coming up, and all the time you're being bombarded by the media and the world around you, other people, and then of course your own mind as well, what you've absorbed, what you remember. So it's the most kind of deepest, practically speaking, it's probably the most deepest defilement we have to deal with. It's linked, obviously, the most deepest defilement is avijja, ignorance, but it manifests as different forms of lust. The very desire for life itself, the desire to have a body and have pleasure with this body. It's not something you can just do away with just like that. It takes a lot of contemplation, a lot of mindfulness, a lot of effort. So the Asupa practice is unavoidable. It's just many people find it difficult for obvious reasons. So approach it, if you are finding it difficult, I would just approach it gently in small bursts and in small ways. And you can do it in meditation as well, devoting periods of time in meditation, even a few minutes, better than nothing, to contemplating the 32 parts of the body, the 4 elements, even the corpse meditations, if you can do. As well as in daily life, just observing that side of life, the unattractiveness of sense objects and things that we might desire, how we're so caught into the superficial appearance of things as pretty, beautiful, desirable, when in fact there's another, the underside or the deeper side is maybe not so beautiful. So, the obvious one, a human body. On the outside, we're always trying to make it look good. We dress it, we style things, we dress things, we do fitness and all kinds of stuff to make this body look good. But as soon as you go deeper into it, the human body is full of all kinds of unpleasant, smelly, unattractive things as well. When you see a picture of a person that you find attractive, you're not noticing the smell because it's just a picture. You're not noticing the various fluids that ooze out of the body. That's what the Buddha said. A human body has all these unpleasant fluids oozing out all the time. Earwax, snot, tears, sweat, grease, urine, excrement, and other stuff as well, lymph and stuff. It's always coming out of this body, except for we never really acknowledge it, do we? And you're always looking for the attractive. When they have, Mr. Universe, Miss Universe competition, they're not investigating the colour of their snot. Excuse me, sometimes we have to speak directly here. They don't compete, whose excrement is the most smelly. Or looks the best. You don't want to bring that side of a human body up during a competition to, based on the attractiveness of the human body. When we're buying and selling clothes, you don't ask how quick will this shirt or this blouse or whatever I'm buying, how quickly will it get covered in grease and dirt and I have to wash it. But that's what happens, isn't it? The most beautiful, expensive cloth that you can buy and make into clothing, you wear it for not very long and already it's got stains, it's got grease, it smells, you have to wash it. this is a super in daily life, you might say, just noticing the unattractive side of the body and the way it interacts with the world and what happens. You eat a nice meal, then it goes into your body, it becomes something unpleasant inside your stomach, and then it comes out the other end in the toilet. Nobody likes to hang around in toilets because they're dirty, smelling places. All of this is a super that you can notice in daily life, and it's teaching you something. And one of the things with the modern world is we're constantly trying to get away from everything we don't like, those aspects of the human body that we don't like, that we find unattractive. We're trying to get away from. And so we're keeping ourselves in ignorance by doing that, really, because we're missing out an opportunity to see the truth. But because it is confronting and difficult, we'll just tread gently and see where you can become more mindful, more aware of these different aspects of the body, and it will help you deal with sensual desire. But don't expect all your sensual desire or sexual desire just to disappear overnight. It may take years or even lifetimes to abandon it. But it can be done. The Buddha and all the noble ones have proven that. It can be done, but it takes time and effort. And it can also, sometimes you can have a reaction, can't you? So it can make you very angry or grumpy if you keep focusing on the unattractive side of the body, the impermanent, unattractive side of material things that you crave for, desire. It can make you very grumpy when you become aware of this side of things. So be careful, because you have to do it in a balanced way and not overdo it.
So, one more. Are there any more questions? There are no further questions.
Well, that's probably enough for tonight. As you're aware, tonight's session was an hour earlier than previous sessions, so this is the new time. It suits the monastic routine for the range retreat, so we'll be keeping this time for the next few months. So that's 7 p.m. Melbourne time. But anyway, we wish you well with your practice, and we'll see you again next time.